We're pretty much live. Made the recorder over here. Okay, I think we're ready. Hey everyone, welcome to the new media show. My name is Todd Cochran. Of course, I want to welcome my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee. Hey Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing terrific, Todd. Good. It's good to be back on the show. I know they come around pretty fast. You're doing 2 episodes a week.
Yeah, and that's that's
Great.
been my life for almost 16 years with my show too. So
Right. Yeah.
so now it's just like double duty. But we were talking about just before we went live here was that a little bit that we felt like almost Groundhog Day. It's not that we're not busy and doing different things. It's just a lot of the same thing day after
Right.
day, and
Yeah.
I'm having to start keep much better notes because otherwise I lose conversations that I need to follow up on. And it's,
Yeah. It's easy to do that. You're
it's
right.
hard,
Yeah.
to keep
Yeah.
abreast of everything. So I've got like this, status stack now that is, 5 miles long. But you said you saw something where they think globally this may not end at 2022 for some countries.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to turn the show into talk too much about the virus thing, but yeah, I mean, it as far as if you look at it from a global vaccination perspective, I think that's where it's coming from.
Oh,
or this concept of herd immunity, right?
yeah.
It's going to take that long for this whole thing to kind of work its way out of the system. But I think that there's been a lot of changes that have been kind of permanent. It's just what exactly those are. I guess time will tell.
Rob, you can get a Russian shot.
I can what?
You can take the Russian vaccine.
Oh, that's right. Right. Yeah, that's true. True. Yeah.
I read somewhere that
I don't think
there's
you can actually get it, but I think
not that I would ever take
Right.
that. They've tested on 7 people or something. Anyway,
it's all about hope, Todd.
yeah,
That's what that whole thing is about, right?
So I think if you look at I had in association with that, I had read that some leader of a specific country had agreed to take the Russian shot, but he's going to wait until March.
What, after a few others have
yeah,
guinea pigged the shot, right?
Yeah. And then but in a serious note though, some countries, we have unemployment here. And even though the bonus has run out and people are still on regular unemployment, it's just, at least it's a little bit. And then there is programs if people are in really desperate times, they can go apply for a variety of assistance programs.
Right.
So at least here in the United States, there is some relief to an extent. People would always say it's more. And I think they're going to be, trying to send some more money or whatever. But, that's all the politics side. But most countries don't have anything like this.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe first world, and I don't know what you would classify as a first world country anymore, and they used to say third world nations or whatever, and that's probably considered derogatory at this point. But
yeah, I think some of the more
developing
countries
yeah.
have done this. I've heard about it happening down in Australia, and it's probably, I haven't heard this, but it's probably happening in the UK and Germany and some of the European countries that are probably more affluent.
Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, Philippines, right. India, countries like, again, India in itself has, a couple of caste state there. So right. I don't know, I guess, but I don't think the majority of the world can support continued lockdown and not going back to work. I don't think they can.
Yeah.
It's already, and of course, there's a variety of cost of livings, but still, it's
hmm
who's
Right.
getting hurt the worst is the poor. The poor are just
Getting hammered like always,
hammered,
right?
hammered.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Well, and on the podcast side, there's certainly, there's jobs out there. If you look at Pod News, there's always a list of companies hiring out there. So, I think we're lucky to be in an industry or sector or that is, basically mostly escaping this relatively unscathed.
right.
Um, so we're all fortunate, those that are in the podcasting
Yeah.
space that are able to do that.
Rick,
Um,
Rick says the Chinese have vaccine in the late stage of testing as well. That's the last country I'm taking a vaccine from. I'll take the Russian one first.
right there you go. Yeah. Well, Podfest Global Summit set their Guinness record
Oh, so
yesterday,
they hit
or
their
the day before. Yeah. the day before.
5,000 attendees or some 5,000
Yeah.
participants.
Mhm. Yep.
I think they had to do it over multiple days.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think it's for
So-
the whole week.
Oh, that's awesome. Good for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So-
I'd like to see the math on that, how that worked.
Yeah, I haven't seen the details on how they calculated that or what the vectors were in counting. Did a visitor have to spend so much time on the site, or they have to do a certain number of things to be considered a active participant? I don't know.
And I think some of their
I'm not
big
sure what the vector
speakers
was.
really helped them too, because some of their big speakers brought in some big numbers, from my understanding as well. So, yeah, good for them.
Yep.
So, hey, there's a topic I talked to you about a little bit after the last show.
Yeah.
And I want to be careful about this topic because it's pretty sensitive, but it's something that has occurred to me, and it actually had nothing to do with Blueberry. It was a podcast award situation.
Mhm.
And so let me just be upfront for the audience that's listening. There's going to be a wide variety of opinions here, and let me give you some background. When we set the podcast awards up, we've had all kinds of crazy things have happened over the years, and I come up with a statement on the website that was talking about the spirit of the podcast awards.
Mhm.
And the spirit was basically anyone that would bring a bad light, anyone that would, it's a variety of things. And we basically reserve the right to disqualify anyone at any time for any reason whatsoever. And it's basically me and a couple other people's call that I work with on this. And so we don't have a big staff to go around and look at every nominated show and look at the history. We make sure they're doing episodes, make sure they have an RSS feed, a few things that we check on. And it's a process that, is not probably as thorough as it always should be, but, we try to do our best, make sure that they've got the minimum number of episodes and everything in.
Mhm.
So I got an email from a listener that really started off in a tone that surprised me and said certain show is racist. And I'm like, what? And I went over and looked at the show and really couldn't make a determination that that was racist.
Mhm.
And I really didn't dig much deeper than that. I replied back. I said, I don't see indications that the show or the show's content is racist. And,
Mhm.
we're open for, we're focused on the content and the podcast and blah, blah, blah. And I had really not went and did research on the host
Right.
and was just looking at the show and the content, right?
Mhm.
So the email that I got back in second round from the person was that I am now the racist, and I'm now supporting racist, and I am now going to be reported to the news, and you are da 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 da, and I'm going to ruin you and da 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 da, and it was because I took a pretty strong stance initially on
Mhm.
not removing the show. And I said, okay, where is this racist content at? And it was related to content that it had been done on a non-podcasting project
Right.
back in 2017. Something there's not even a lot of details online, just it's this accusation of racist activity that happened on a project. Nothing concrete, no specifics, but it was
Right.
enough that the podcast had gotten some national press out of it. Negative
Right.
national press. The host had been fired. So, for a host to be fired off a show, pretty big deal, right? So there has to be something. But again, the content that was outlaid was not racist. And yet now I'm a racist because I'm allowing a show that's supposedly racist, doesn't have racist content, to stay in. And it really set me back in my seat significantly.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the podcast. It happened on a reality TV show.
Right.
Yeah. So, and it just got linked up with that
Right.
host, right? And
Yep.
followed it, but it didn't follow it into the podcast.
No, but their history did.
Right.
So in the end, I opted to take the show down because it really kind of could have bring the podcast forwards to have a bad light. There was some additional stuff that we looked at the show and determined that most of the media wasn't even available to be played.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like you took the show down.
No.
It's not like it was a censorship situation or something like that. Let's be clear on this.
The production people that were part of that show had already delisted it several places it was listed. Yep. So it wasn't necessarily a hard call to
disqualify old content.
Old content. Yeah. So it wasn't a hard call to disqualify it. But I really it brought me back to several things that have happened and other things that have been brought to our attention at Blueberry that sometimes we've made a call on, yes or no, blah, blah, blah. But we are at a time now. Let me be very, very clear. Hate speech, racism, any of that type of stuff that is brought to my attention that is in content at Blueberry, our terms of service is very, very clear about this.
Right.
And we won't support it. We don't want them on our platform, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We don't go looking. We wait till it's reported because we're under Safe Harbors Act, and that protects my company from being sued for having something on. Anyway, you guys want to read a Safe Harbors? That's a whole different thing. But it brings up a bigger point to me. And again, I'm going to go full circle on this, and please don't relate one to the other. Number one, we're living in a time where something someone has done in the past,
right?
Even if they have atoned for it. And again, I don't know if these people atoned or begged forgiveness or went to rehab, or I don't know any of the history.
It's possible. Can you for some of this stuff is like permanent.
It is. Today it
doesn't matter if it's true or not.
Today it's permanent, and the way it is today, and people are not allowed to have a second chance. Now, we have people that go to jail for murdering people. They get out of jail and are given a second chance. It doesn't erase that they have murdered someone, but at least they're able to get out and try to start their lives over. And obviously there is issues there. But words today people say can be almost like a death sentence to people in their livelihood, because they just can't get away from it ever.
Yeah, it follows them for years, and this is an example of that.
Right. So the question really, really is here, have we got to the point in society where people just never can be forgiven anymore? Are we at such a toxic level of discussions in place that if someone had said something in years past or did something in years past, is there ever a way to recover from that, even if they have changed? And again, I'm just using hypotheticals here because I have no idea on people's history or what they do, but is that possible?
Well, and Todd, that's not even covering the other issue, which is the potential of legal issues. too.
Right.
Libel issues, and I'm hearing people in the industry start to talk about podcast insurance now, more and more, for some of these same issues.
Yep.
So, right.
So, libel is a whole different topic. That's libel's libel. Racism that's a different tier.
Right.
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 And then you have hate speech, and those are probably equally components of racism. Sometimes that goes together.
Right.
But what took me back,
racism, as far as I know, is not illegal. So it's not necessarily a legal issue. It's just right.
It's not. Well, actually, no, it's not.
That's right.
You can be a racist, but you better be prepared to suffer the consequences of being such.
Right. And that could involve legal issues.
It depends on what they've done,
Right.
Or being called out, or having your livelihood destroyed if you're actively participating. But so what really hurt me to the core, and it really set me back, Rob, was this individual telling me that I was a racist.
For even allowing this show to somehow be included, right?
That I had no history on, the comeback was, you should research these people. You should do background investigation, to a sense. Wasn't said exactly. And I'm like, who's going to pay for that?
Yeah.
And
do it.
And so, it was brought to my attention. I looked at it, initially couldn't figure out why. I came back, I had a discussion. I had 3-4 email exchange with this person. But the fact that you're gonna go to the press, and tell them that me is a racist and because I'm going to allow this show to remain on the podcast award, is quite extraordinary.
Yeah.
When the content, and it had nothing to do with podcasting, but yet that followed true. So I'm sure there's going to be people say, yes, I should, immediately you should take it down. Well, again, I didn't have context or history. And here's the surprising part. Got a lot of votes.
Positive votes, right?
So what does that say? Was this an agenda by someone to get this show nominated? So, and then on the opposite token, I'm going,
Well, it's an old show too, and it's not even available.
And I'm kind of going, I'm trying to make this. So was this an attempt by someone to purposely try to make the awards look bad, or all this you don't know, because I go through and I have the available data. I go through and look at the email addresses of the people that voted for that show.
Yeah, but Todd, let's be clear. This is one person doing that. Right?
One.
This isn't like a group of people.
No.
Where you got
no. This is one person
from people.
One person. But when you have someone coming at you that aggressive,
right,
and this little of a thing can take root and can grow into a major issue. So this is the problem then so I'm just talking about the podcast award and one show.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me here recently. The similar, not totally but similar. Yeah, it can be in no matter what position you take on it, you can be
wrong,
given a hard time about it. And that's the dilemma that I was faced with a show that was being called out for certain kinds of content, which didn't really cross the line, but it was a perception thing. And that's what we're dealing with here.
Right.
People's perception of something, whether or not it actually crosses any terms of service lines, they're oftentimes not very knowledgeable about that.
So for me, and maybe I wear my emotions on my shoulder here, and maybe I'll be a little more thick skinned, but Rob, I took major affront to it. to be.
Yeah.
I mean, at my core, I don't want to get too emotional here, but I spent,
Mhm.
and it's like you don't have to defend yourself, but you feel like you want to defend yourself, and when you start defending yourself, then
You get into more
you
trouble.
get into more trouble
Right.
because you can
Sometimes
never
you're better
say
off not saying anything.
because you never can say the right thing.
Right. Yeah.
So all I can do is let my actions and the work I've done and the things I've done stand for themselves, and continue to do my best.
Just do
And-
the best. I agree.
And yet, if people knew my history, n- it was an attack to my personality, and I fucking hated it.
No, it
I
cuts
can't
to
say
the
it any
core.
more clear than that.
Definitely cuts to the core.
It does. And you can't,
Yeah.
because then if you start trying to say something, you're justifying yourself. You can't win.
Yeah. Or
You
you're
can't-
somehow supporting something that
Right.
maybe you don't actually agree
Right.
with, or
Right.
you're not supporting something that you should be supporting. I mean, it's a no-win situation.
So regardless of me and what Todd has done and what Todd is, my lifetime of work, whatever there is to said about that, I'll say one thing. When I was in the Navy for 25 years, one of the core things in my head was that we had the ability to have the First Amendment right for freedom of speech.
Right.
And to me, for those of you that live in the United States, you do not understand how precious that right truly is. Because you cannot say what you want to say in China. You cannot criticize a government. Even you as an American or someone in another country criticizing the Chinese government, if they find out you have any ties to China whatsoever, they will put pressure to make you change your talk. They are that aggressive. And we can spend a whole hour about that, just talking about how they suppress freedom of speech. So for us in the United States, being able to say what we want to say. Now, granted, again, Rob, you may not like what they say. I may not like what they say. I might diametrically, or that isn't even the word. What is the word I'm trying to say here? Diametrically oppose what someone's saying and absolutely to my core disagree with it. They have the right to say it. They live the consequences of what they say. Right? But this is what podcasting's all about. And to flip this on the other side, it goes back to Dragon Con last year. And I don't know if you were and I've talked about this in the show probably 5 or 6 times. Sitting in the back of the room, a diversity group, being a fly in the wall, keeping my mouth shut, and was astonished at the number of people. And this goes to the other end of the spectrum, that violences were silenced, their words were not getting out in the press, and they were using podcasting to build their argument and to talk about what they wanted to talk about.
Mhm.
That was being ignored, that was not fitting in the mainstream media. And this is why podcasting today is so powerful.
Right.
What I posted on Facebook.
That's why, to some degree, we have to be really strong in how we defend those rights.
Right.
I mean, that's not to say that what you say don't have consequences. I mean, freedom of speech is not a blank check. To get away with anything.
No.
What it is, though, and we are kind of stewards of that. Unfortunately, I think it just comes with the territory that we're in. Is that we're one of the few media that has that flexibility, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough place to be sometimes. I've had to be in difficult situations with this too. Like Alex Jones type situation I got pulled into a few years ago, and I know we've talked about that on this show too.
Mhm.
But that stuff did cross those lines,
Right.
right? Most stuff kind of doesn't,
Right.
and that's the key thing, that there's extreme lines, and that's typically where we live in, is extremes. Now, this situation, the example that you're giving me is far from extreme, and it's extreme in the effort of it, but it's not extreme from the content perspective. and that's where it even crosses an even more weird line, right? Is that now it's just pure accusation,
Right.
whether it's true or not doesn't seem to matter anymore.
So here is something that I had wrote a comment on something, and someone in that group got in a tizzy,
right,
and reported it that it was violating community standard.
Right.
You know what that was? My statement stands. Those 3 words is what got took down for violating Facebook community standards. My statement, my opinion stands. And now it was reversed. They apologized. They had said that comment goes against our community standards on harassment and bullying. The words, my statement stands.
In some context, or just
in context to, I had made a statement.
Right.
Some had responded to it, and I just said, my statement stands. And Facebook took down my statement stands but they put it back up later because someone reported it in that group. So and people are seeing this a lot more. You're seeing a lot of more stuff being shadow banned. You're seeing stuff banned. You're seeing stuff that is some stuff that is actually factual being reported as false. It's all on whoever Facebook has made their logarithm. It's what their logarithm thinks. I'll just leave it there.
Right.
So so if that had not been put back up, big deal, right? It's just a statement. My statement stands. It's no big deal. It's not non-sequential.
Right.
But this podcast, good luck taking this podcast down. You and I are having a discussion here.
Right.
And you may oppose or not agree with me all the time. But at this point, podcasting is the last open frontier. And again, so people can take this the wrong way. Yes, racists can do content in podcasting. Yes, extremist groups can do content in podcast. Yes,
there's a history of it.
Yes,
right.
Far right. Yes, far left. Yes, some in a wild, wacky conspiracy theory, which I've been running in my show for a couple of segments in my Geek News Central lately, just having fun laughing about it. Yes, they can have conspiracy theories. Yes, you can talk about QAnon. You can talk about whatever you want, as long as you don't invoke hate speech, and as long as you're not doing racial content, you're welcome on most podcast platforms.
Yeah, I would say that's true. That's true. Yeah.
As long as you don't, and who makes the decision on a violation of terms of service? My lawyer does. I don't go in and listen to the content. I'll send, hey, Barry, we got a podcast. Here's the episode. Can you go review it? And it often comes back, so that was that guy's opinion. Right. He wasn't making anything racial.
Right. Yeah.
You guys run into it all the time. People don't like people's opinions. They get pissed off about someone's opinion, and what do? They report it.
Well, we actually want to encourage podcasters to get people experiencing the full range of emotion, right?
And we want them to reply to the show, not to us.
Right. I mean, I think a good podcaster creates people. It causes people to think, right? It causes people to agree, disagree. This is a core principle of even talk radio, right? Yeah. It's the purpose of a good host is to get people to think, and I think that unfortunately that can deviate into some areas that people feel uncomfortable.
Right.
I've experienced it. I experienced it a little bit with my radio show. I had a spokesperson for PETA on my show at one point back in the mid-2000s.
All the PETA haters came out and blasted on you, right?
Exactly. So it was like, it was all about animal rights.
Right.
And that kind of stuff. But there was a lot of people that thought that PETA was almost like a terrorist organization, and then there was others out there.
Some people still do, Rob.
Right? Yeah, right. And then there's people out there that think that PETA doesn't go
far enough.
Right? So, but that's kind of what, to some degree, that's kind of what you want in your podcast. Do you want that difference of opinion? Because it creates a conversation that's interesting, right? And I think that's, unfortunately, I hope isn't the casualty of.
Well, what we've had in news and mainstream news is they're an absolute casualty, because all they do is they're either left or right. There's nothing down the middle in the news no more. And if someone says there is objective news today, show me.
People tune in to the side that they
right.
want to align, right? It's not causing them to
change their mind,
challenge,
right
in their thoughts.
Yeah,
it certainly is getting them riled up.
Yeah,
and excited, because it's extreme
in writing
one direction,
and writing checks to their political party, right?
Right. So that's how media has spun right
But
now.
here's the thing: what we all forget about the news media, they are benefactors of billions of dollars of advertising during the political season. So for them, this is a business. See, they have to be able to get. They want all these billions of dollars in political ads. So they're a business. Let's just forget the news is a business.
It's a business on audience, just like podcasting is.
Right. Yeah.
So,
but I think
not all podcasts have a business around audience.
But I think podcasting, though, at least in my opinion, and someone please tell me if I'm wrong, YouTube is definitely a purveyor of taking content down. I mean, without even a whisper.
Right.
It's just gone. If they think you're going to hurt an advertiser, they're gone. It's all about money.
And it's algorithmic.
Right.
Which is even less human, right?
Yeah.
Around decision making, but it also creates separation too. It's like Google can say, well, we have an algorithm that does this, and these are the strict guidelines. And a human hasn't made that choice, so you can't point a finger at a human.
Right.
Say, well, you're racist.
Yeah.
Or you're this, or you're that.
Yeah.
I mean, this issue came up a little bit here this past week in relation to Anchor. I don't know if you saw the article coming out about how they're.
But that was different. That's about music. That's about copyright violation.
Well, it is, but it's similar in concept to, I think, people's perception of if there's some sort of violation, right. Of something, right, that the platforms are being put more and more in a position where they have to be the content police.
It was kind of comical, be honest with you, that their system is that stupid.
Well, I mean, I can see it to a certain degree, because I kind of experienced this a little bit. If you make the process really easy, and I don't know if we've talked about this in the past, but if you make the process really easy to migrate an RSS feed over to another service, right? Let's say you just cut and paste it in there, and it copies all the files, and you can add it to your account, right? That was the situation with Spreaker, is that it's really easy to go in and create multiple shows in your account, right?
Yep.
So I could go grab the RSS feed from Serial, right?
Yep.
And I could cut and paste it into my Spreaker account.
Yep.
And completely duplicate Serial on my Spreaker account, and then submit that podcast to Spotify and Pandora. And
so,
I mean, yeah,
but, But there's a cool
there's
a cool thing that they don't understand. And let me find the copyright. So on this show,
a little bit different than that. But that's kind of a little bit about what they're going after here.
This it has a Creative Commons attributed non-commercial share alike 3.0 copyright.
Right.
Let me say that again. This show is tagged Creative Commons attribution non-commercial share alike 3.0. So long as you attribute us, you attribute us in your content, you can share this show all you want.
Right, but that doesn't give you a license to duplicate everything.
No,
distribute.
No, but
Is that
No,
what you want, Todd? You want this show duplicated across 5 different
not.
feeds?
I honestly, I don't, because I'm not going to control this. But they can take clips from this show,
Yeah, no, I think
and that's what
the
happened
intent,
with the
right?
person that got took down. Was they had a clip, not
true.
the whole show.
Well, I think that the terminology is similar content that was hosted in a Libsyn hosted podcast listing
Right.
in Spotify. So,
Intro
Yeah.
music
right.
was what was the same.
Really? Was
Yeah,
it
I think it
intro
was
music?
intro music. Yeah, originally they thought the show got took down because of music. It was this guy's own. He had created his own intro music, and he used it on his Libsyn show, and then he used the same intro music on
okay.
his Anchor show.
Okay, it says here the audio in question was a trailer, a 76
trailer.
second trailer, all speech of Jonathan's
Oh.
own voice.
Maybe okay, I'm wrong.
The trailer for a new show that he had uploaded a day earlier onto Libsyn that was also carried by Spotify. So that's
But
yeah.
it's,
I mean, it's interesting that it would be such a small piece of content. Now, granted, I can see maybe where Anchor's coming from on this.
it's an oxymoron though, because
Right.
what okay, so I don't have a show on Anchor.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I'm on Spotify. The show's on Spotify. But Anchor could be considered a destination by some folks. So I thought, what if I want this show to be, I just upload a copy of the show to Anchor,
Right.
and have it on Anchor for a destination.
Well, Todd, back when
Can't do it.
we were doing live shows on Spreaker, when you were traveling.
Yep.
In that Spreaker feed, the Spreaker live show feed, there
Yeah.
are episodes of this show
That's
that
right.
are in that feed that are duplicative to this.
Yep.
And those haven't been taken.
No.
Of course, I don't believe that they're on Anchor. So
No. But it's just,
that's the common denominator here. I'm not sure that any of the other platforms are taking down content for the same.
no, because the majority, it's really ironic, to be honest with you, because podcasts are syndicated. Podcasts are syndicated into, it's really, if you think about it, it's really insane. That show was, Libsyn show was in Spotify.
Right.
And then they took the content down that was put on it. It makes no sense. All I can say is it looks like there's a little heavy integration there, and well, that guy now going to decide, well, do I want my show on Libsyn or do I want my show on Spotify? Is it a big evil plot?
I don't think it has anything to do with Libsyn, but I think it was just, I don't know. They've said that there's no algorithm going on.
But they took the whole show down, not just one episode. They deleted the whole show.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Hey, just, I know all of you already know this. Blueberry and Libsyn have great podcast hosting plans. We're big, independent friendly. Come on over and host with us. Rob's got a promo code for you. I've got a promo code for you. We'll both give you 30 days. Come on over.
Right.
The hell with Anchor.
Yeah. Don't get caught up in this quagmire, or whatever you want to say.
Because everything we've been talking about today, and I hate to, we're not tooting our own horn here, but
yes, we are.
Well, yeah, in a sense, but no, we, in the end, what it really shows me, and Rick said a note here. Rick in chat said, no doubt there are efforts underway to control speech in podcasting as well. That scares me to death that Rick would think that.
Well, yeah.
It's not happening with our two companies.
No, actually, I think our terms of service policies are actually even a little bit more, I don't know what the right word to use, but is a little bit more open than even yours, I think.
Really?
So, yeah.
Our terms of service haven't changed, Robin, 15 years. So
I know. Well, just think about the title, the name of the company, Liberated Syndication.
Right.
I mean, if you look at the brand,
Yeah.
it tells you a lot right there, right, of our philosophy. Right.
So a lot of our terms of service originated when we were just a directory too. So, so I it's just, and again, on one hand, I can probably, name that or number the number of takedowns we've had to do as a company. And the last,
I agree.
it kind of goes in spurts. Something happens.
Yeah. I mean, I've been with multiple companies, as you know.
Yeah.
And it's an extremely rare occurrence.
Extremely rare.
Put it that way. Extremely rare.
But at the same time, there's such angst in the world right now.
Well, yeah, and it's only getting more so. I think this pressure, like you're talking about, Todd, is definitely building. I don't know if it's going to peak at some point. I don't know.
So, it's in even the news, which little I watch, has now started to really kind of come out and say cancel culture is not healthy for the country. So,
yeah,
it is, and it is a small number of people that are rightly so sometimes pissed off,
right,
and or a segment that is pissed off, rightly so.
And I think it is a small segment that causes all these problems too.
And not necessarily that they are wrong, but they are definitely at the extreme.
Right.
So,
I mean, how many shows are there out there? Podcasts,
1.3 million or something like that.
And how many shows do we have any kind of an issue with?
Yeah.
Just a fraction of a fraction of a fraction.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, the shows that are, how should I say it, doing this nasty stuff, they know better to even submit. They self-host and do their own thing.
Yeah.
They put their content up on their own servers, and they know from the get-go that they're going to be a target. So they don't even come and work with companies like Rob and mine.
Right.
So we do get from time. Actually, what we see actually happening is we get more requests because someone's using our stats. So they try to slide in under the radar and using our stats. Your stats redirect, and then we'll get a takedown notice for something that like, that isn't even hosted with us. They're just using our stats. You just didn't know how to read. So, we removed the link, but it's very rarely for hosted content.
Yeah. I mean, some of the other times that I've seen these players come out, play with the hosting platforms is when they want to get in listening platforms that they can't get in on the outside. So, I mean, like some of the hosting platforms have direct relationships with, Pandora, and in the early days, Spreaker had a direct relationship with iHeartRadio, right?
Right.
So the only way to get your show into iHeartRadio was to host it on Spreaker, right? So for a certain amount of time, and those have been, and that's kind of
largely eliminated.
Yeah. I mean, that's been kind of eliminated over time to some degree, but that's been a little bit of the impetus of these shows working with these platforms. I mean, to get their shows into like a Spotify or something like that, you typically had to work through a host, right? You couldn't submit directly
until they bought Anchor.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Vertical integration is
right.
As it's,
then they said, "Oh, we don't want to have them coming direct from the podcast host. We want direct relationships instead, so we can convert them."
Yeah. And this whole thing with Anchor has nothing to do with Spotify, but I'm sure Spotify has a perspective on this too.
Well, I'm sure that the logo was triggered by Spotify. Spotify probably said, "Hey, we got two pieces of similar content here.
Right.
You got a problem."
Right. So we're talking about Anchor here, but we really should be talking about Spotify.
And I'm sure what it really is, believe it or not, is they're looking for the music. So it's probably their music system triggered. Because again, it's just a bot.
But there wasn't any music.
No,
the
but
thing.
that's the bot doesn't know it's music. They're just looking for a signature, a media file that looks the
Similar.
same. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah. So anyway, I think we've kicked that dead horse.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. But yeah, I'm
So did you want to talk at all about this powerful people in podcasting thing? And you've been pretty quiet about that.
why we forgot all about that. I'm glad you brought it to us. So, Rob, let me ask those of you listening, we're going to give you a little education here. Rob, what magazine came out with the top 10, or what newsletter came out with the top 10?
Inside Radio.
Inside Radio, which is a subsidiary of who?
iHeart.
So Inside Radio is a subsidiary of iHeart. So a month ago, Inside Radio asked people to submit who their top 10 most powerful people in podcasting were.
Right.
Now, I have a little addition to the story.
Who you know?
So I told my audience to go over there and submit.
Mhm.
And provided them a special link to do so. And I saw how many went over and submitted. So, stack. Okay, a little bit, right?
So, okay.
Okay, so now I'm not on that list. It's okay.
Yeah.
So who is, Rob, drum roll, who is the number one most influential person in podcasting today by Inside Radio, who is owned by a subsidiary of iHeart?
Well, this is the second year in a row.
Oh, shh, don't give it away. Who was it?
The guy that leads iHeartRadio. True.
Rigged.
Connell is,
in my opinion.
I mean, it's what's interesting about it is who would you put as the number one? If it wasn't Connell, who would it be?
Most influential person in podcasting?
Or who should it have?
It wouldn't have been me.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have been me. I mean, I'm on the list, but
you made the top 10?
No, not top 10. I'm part of the podcast power players list, which is the list below it.
Okay.
It's like another 32 people that they put in there.
Was I on that list? Probably not, huh?
No, but I thought you were last year.
I don't know. I don't care.
I know, but I'm just saying. I mean, who do you think is the most powerful person in podcasting right now?
It's not the iHeart folks.
No, I know it's not. But besides that, who do you think it should be?
That's a pretty big question because there's a lot of very influential people in various positions.
Right. I'm looking at the list, the top 10 list that's in here right now,
Mhm.
right? And the one that jumps out for me would be probably Ben Cave. He's the global head of podcasts for Apple.
But nobody knows him.
Well, he made it to number 5.
Like I said, how did that happen?
Well, Ben is
Again,
I
they
know
had
Ben.
people.
I know
No,
Ben.
no,
I've talked to him
no.
a
But
few
they
times.
had people submit names via
that's a
a
good point.
nomination form.
That is true, but it does say in their how they selected it here. It says we invited readers, Inside Radio and Podcast News Daily, and our editors to nominate, and our editor. Okay, that's the key thing, to nominate executives they believe deserve recognition for their work advancing the podcast industry. Our board made the final selections.
Mhm. So they took all those submissions and they just flushed them.
Or they took it and then they applied their own nomination, right, to this, which you're entirely right, Todd. I don't think there's very many people that know Ben Cave because he's fairly new to that role. I think more people probably know James.
Well, here it is.
Ben, but Ben is, he is the guy that's in charge of it.
Here's the thing. These lists are all subjective. All these people run different roles in podcasting. No one person, in my opinion, is like the guy. Because
that's true. I would say that's probably true.
You've got influential person over at Pandora. You've got an influential person at iHeart. You've got an influential person at Spotify. Right. You've got this whole stack. And these are
CEO of Stitcher is certainly we've got pretty influential guy.
By the way, congratulations on your guy. Good luck on your guys' new CEO hunt. That was good news, by the way. And for those that don't know, Libsyn is now looking for a new CEO. Chris Spencer, their long-term CEO, is left the building or soon to leave the building.
Well, and the other thing too is we have a lot of new board members too.
So anyway, that's a whole nother discussion.
New CFO and the whole work. So there's big things that are shaking.
And big things are shaking up and shaking out. So again, there's this whole who else could be influential? Well, the person that's the CEO of Podbean, people don't even hardly know who he is.
Right.
So there's a whole stack, a whole litany of people that do different things in the podcasting space, right?
Yep.
So I don't think there's any one person that is the most powerful. Tom Webster's a powerhouse in podcasting.
Oh yeah.
Why isn't he on that list? Right. So there's James Cridland probably could be on that list. I don't know. Is he influential?
He probably should have been.
Right.
He probably should have been. I agree.
He's a news reporter. He's not in the podcasting space, but
Well, he's as much in the podcasting space as
he does a podcast.
People.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a whole list of people.
Right.
So again, when these top 10 lists come out, to me, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think the podcasters, the real question is, who do podcasters look to for information? They look to Rob Walsh. They look to you. They look to me. They look to other people. They look at my God, he's going to hate me here. A leader of Captivate.
Mark.
Yeah. So, you've got people that have
Mark Asquith.
Got big followers of podcasters. Dave Jackson, big follower of podcasters. They're all podcasters will have a whole different response to who's very influential. If you're a mid-roll podcaster, you're probably going to say the CEO at mid-roll is the person that is the
that's the Stitcher CEO, right?
Right.
If you think about this list of the top 10 most powerful people and the power players in podcasting, it's from a website. The top of the page says Inside Radio.
Right.
It doesn't say Inside Podcasting.
No. So Rick says, the most influential person podcasting at my house is at my house.
That's awesome.
You're right.
That's really what this medium is about. This list is certainly of people that are working at larger companies, typically that are doing some stuff with podcasting. There's no question. So, and their content's getting listened to by lots of people. But that doesn't make it the heart and soul of podcasting.
No. The heart and soul is all of you that are listening, that are creating content, and the few of you that are hanging out, listening to our antics as well, hoping we won't mention your name. We haven't done any digging in dirt lately. We need to get some dirt digging going. So if any of you got some dirt to give out, feel free to fire it over. I'm just joking.
Lordy, there's enough dirt out there.
Actually, believe it or not, I don't think there is. I don't think there's no true dirt.
No, I don't think so either. It's a pretty clean medium.
Yeah. He said pretty.
It's been sanitized quite well. Did you also see this article, Todd, saying that 38% of Americans listen to a podcast to improve their mood.
I have no doubt. I agree 100%. I think that number is more like 80.
Yeah.
Here's why,
It depends on what you listen to, right?
Rob. Okay. Have you listened to mainstream television? Don't say who. Have you listened to more than 1 hour of mainstream television news in the last week?
Yeah, sure.
How pissed off are you?
I don't get pissed off about it. It's
Come-
what it is.
Oh,
Now I have my opinions about it.
okay.
but
You have your
it doesn't-
opinions.
It doesn't really make me stop.
When
It's
I
just
watch,
mainly, it's
when
like
I watch,
frustrated.
when I watch the news, I get pissed off and frustrated.
Yeah, I get.
So-
Clearly I get.
Okay,
frustrated about it.
so we don't need this COVID, Corona, us locked down.
Right.
I don't need that in my life right now.
Right.
I happen upon it by accident. I see stuff on Facebook by accident, and it's still, I want to puke, right? So I listen to podcasts because I want to listen to all this negativity and bickering and political posturing, and it is what it is. We're not going to be able to control any of these. Here's my opinion on politicians: fire them all, fire them all, clean the slate. Let's start over. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Everyone, Republicans, Democrats, presidents, fire them all.
Well, I mean, a lot of them are in there for the wrong reasons.
Fire them all. You know.
Right.
So
Well, so it says in this article,
we do
it's-
listen to podcasts to feel better.
It's linked up with the Deezer platform is kind of where this data is coming
Uh-huh.
from. But it says content that focuses on relaxation, mindfulness, self-improvement has helped 53% of Americans get through the lockdown. And it says
Absolutely.
our relationship podcasts have seen a dramatic 145% increase.
Tom just weighed in on the chat. And Tom, we were talking about you earlier. We think you should have been in the top 10 list. But Tom, there's a question for you then on your new state of podcasting, all this stuff that you guys do. Find out how many people listen to podcasts to feel better. I do.
And
Count me as a yes.
What type of content is that, right? I mean, what's the ranking on that?
It's what I want to listen to. It's stuff that
a-
makes me happy.
Right.
And it's necessarily comedy shows.
Right.
It's what and if a relationship show is what you want to listen to,
Mhm.
great.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually really serving a real tangible benefit. to people,
Absolutely.
no question.
And I've said this
Right.
since the beginning of this thing. Because I was telling my audience, my tech show audience, that I took about a 45-day break from any, I didn't listen to Stern. I didn't listen to TV. I didn't listen because felt I was getting sick, mentally sick from listening to this caca. I'll use that word.
Yeah.
And I started listening to podcasts that I wanted to listen to. I listened to self-improvement. I listened to my friend Adam Curry. I listened to, it just a little comedy intermixed. That, and it made me feel much better.
Right.
I really think some of the mainstream stuff is really making this country insane. Tune into a podcast.
Right.
And don't listen to a political one.
Well, there are a lot of people saying that we've got some serious mental health issues in this country now because of what's happening, and people are doing destructive things to their lives.
Rob,
now.
I don't say that I was getting depressed, but I
Right.
took a break. I needed some time off. I needed to be away. I needed and I'm not, and it's, I recognized I needed a break.
Right.
And it did me a world of good. Sometimes I wish I was still on vacation, right? But it is what it is. The real world intermixes with that, and you just have to adapt. But I think it's true. I think people get stressed out, and we're in a situation that I can't imagine being a mom or dad right now, knowing my kids aren't going to go back to school.
Yeah.
the stress level goes from here, which is I can handle it, to here because they're going to be
Yeah.
homeschooling this year. I
Yeah.
that segment alone.
Mhm.
Now, when you have teenagers, you just yell them, do your homework, right? And get online and
Right.
do your stuff. They're little,
Right.
but when you have a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old that needs a lot of attention,
Right.
God help us. I'm serious.
Well, we're
It-
both parents and
yeah.
had to, and raise kids.
I've
and
got a,
went
I've
through
got,
all that.
I got a senior this year, so he's he's going to go to school 2 days a week. His friends are on opposite schedules. He's pissed off about that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, he can be managed because he's 17. He's going to have to be prodded, with a cow poker every once in a while and shocked to make sure he gets his homework done. But I can't imagine having a 6th grader.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a challenging time.
And that's just one thing. So what if you are, I got the guy that does my production for my show, he lives in Jersey, relatively small house. He works his day job for a major mobile telecommunication company, doing what he has to do there. And his job isn't, he has, let's just put it this way, he's got a stressful job. But he has no place to escape to. He could leave work at work and he could come home and be done with that. But he can't. He gets up from his desk and he's still in the same house. He has no place to decompress. That's
Right.
a story across the country right now. Or a
Right.
spouse, maybe two of you are working in the same spare bedroom on top of one another and you're trying to do. I'm zoomed out. I'm zoomed out. I'm zoom when matter of fact, let's Zoom is like death by PowerPoint. There will be going to be a major retaliation back on these online meeting platforms. No one's going to want to do them no more. I had 18 Zoom meetings last week. 18. You hear my frustration? And I'm not alone here.
Well, Todd, I mean, those were 18 meetings that you would have done in person, right? Maybe.
Done some of them just on the phone. Everyone wants to do a Zoom meeting now. You just can't have a phone call now.
Right.
Because you got to see each other.
Not always a bad thing, right? I guess I'm not as, I would say that I've got a good balance between phone calls and Skype calls, Zoom calls, and Blue Jeans. I mean, there's all these new platforms coming up too.
I'm
right?
just, when I say I'm zoomed out, I'm just done with the online meeting thing.
Right.
I'm a social magnet. I like the in-person stuff.
Yeah, right. I think that's what you're really saying.
Yeah,
Todd, is that you want to get out there and meet people in person.
That's why I told Dan last week, if I get a vaccine, I'm going to hug him.
Right.
I won't,
Todd,
literally.
I'm the same way too. I mean, we're both kind of people.
Yeah.
So we like to get out and meet people and talk to people and go to meetings and go to events and be around lots of people and try and network with people. That's how we got to where we are in this medium, is being a connector and being connected to the community. And it's harder to do that now, I think.
Yeah. So, we're really straight off the path here, but going back to the Deezer piece, I think that 38%, they count me in for 100. And I don't know, what about you guys? Listen to the show. Are you feeling the same thing? You feeling the same frustration? Are you, just getting up? Here's an example. So when the Blueberry team's in the office and I'm in the office, we're all head down working, but we all take lunch kind of around the same time, within maybe the same 90-minute period. Everyone kind of goes on lunch. And we've got a little kitchen area in the office that people kind of congregate around, and we're just able to have lunch and have a discussion and all kinds of topics. Sometimes it's work, sometimes it's we got a baby shower, whatever the conversation is. It's this familiar family conversation where we're all just kind of and it's a break. It's a break for lunch, and you can go back to your desk and you concentrate and knock the rest of the day out. And there's also this interpersonal communications that happen during the day when you're in the office and something comes up and you're like, oh, hey, Mackenzie, you just do a shout across from, hey, Mackenzie, can you take your earbud out of your ear for a moment, and we'll make a discussion, and that breaks the day up. Now for lunch, most people sit at their desk and eat their lunch right in front of their computer, and I'm making a point to get up and try to do something different for lunch, leave the office, which, I'm here in an office, but people can't. They're stuck in their house.
Right.
So that's why I told my team, if you get like frustrated, hey, watch a movie during lunch and then, give me some extra time on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in a whole different world now, and people's mental, I'm used to having coworkers that I could tap on my shoulder for years and years and years. So for me, this is very difficult.
Yeah, I agree. But I've been working from home for years, but I've also spent time working in corporate offices and, back when I was working at Microsoft, and so, but I think it's really just getting out at these events. I mean, you and I were spending probably half of our time on the road.
Tom says it perfectly. I've largely been keeping my camera off on Zoom calls. So sick of them. Me too. And Tom, this is just like the last couple of weeks. I've been turning my camera off, showing up. Because some meetings are more engaging than others. And sometimes somebody will say something and I will react, and people will know that because I'm the boss, I've reacted, that they need to adjust something. So sometimes it's better to have the camera off so that I can react and not have someone freak out and get that additional pressure, and then come back later and say, hey, by the way, I don't have to make them look bad because this face doesn't play poker.
Yeah. I would agree with that. You definitely are very expressive.
Yeah. So this place and so if I do one of these,
it says a lot.
It says a lot. Or if I start, if my complexion changes and I start getting red.
Yeah. Right. True.
So from that perspective, it's better to have the camera off sometimes, or I'm just not in the mood. This show, we watch each other.
And you have to worry about your hair and what it looks like.
Whatever. But someone got mad at me. I think I mentioned last year. Someone got mad at me because I had the camera off. How come you don't have your camera on? I said,
I'm hiding today.
And
Todd, did you? Oh, go
ahead. No. Anyway, so I don't know. Maybe the rest of you feeling the same thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just universal at this point.
So did you see the announcement about Red Circle making this proclamation that they had launched the first automated podcast advertising platform to scale host read ads?
Yeah. So what is this about?
Thousands of popular podcasts.
I think this is about the 6th or 7th one.
But it's automated. That's the key word.
Okay. So is that about the 6th or 7th one?
Well, I know you had a platform that you were making available to the space many years ago that was doing this. That was.
I don't have the piece where the buyer comes in and they'll buy stuff. I don't have that side of it, but others do already. But I have a system that we can put thousands of shows on a single buy. If someone wants to spend that kind of money, call me.
Yeah, I think that there's been I can think of one. I think Knit had a similar platform like that.
Well, didn't the company you used to work for had a platform?
Oh, you're talking about Spreaker?
Yeah, they had something.
Well, okay, I think. What that was?
Oh, they're doing
more programmatic stuff, right? With the radio ads. This is
host read.
This is supposedly host read.
Oh yeah, we've had that since 2006 or something like that.
Right. And it's not really 100% clear if this is host reads that are baked in or if they're dynamically inserted. It's pre-recorded host reads, it doesn't really draw that distinction. But if you're going to automate host reads, I think you kind of have to do dynamic ad insertion, don't you, Todd?
Mhm.
I think you can probably, and we've talked about it many times in the show, that there is a need for a platform that can scale host read ads
For 10% of the podcast in the world.
Right, exactly. And and you combine that with dynamic ad insertion, and there may be you can include another 10% of that probably. But it's even trying to do that is difficult. I know, Todd, you probably have more experience at doing that than really pretty much anybody.
Well, we've never been purveyors. Well, here's what I tell podcasters. You will know when you need injection. You'll know when you need injection when you can go and look at the content that you did last month.
And it's your archive. It's the monetization of archive.
But
where the benefit is.
Shh, don't tell the podcasters that the majority of media buyers do not ever buy old inventory.
That's true. They also don't like the fact that their stuff isn't baked in. Guess what? They get free impressions when it's baked in.
Yeah. But the way I tell, we have podcasters that, 20 a week, they say, hey, we're ready for ad injection. And, hey, we're happy to sell you ad injection. No problem. I get you up to a different, a level of account. No sweat.
Right.
I can get you. And then, and then they'll ask me, well, what kind of ads do you have for me? So you don't have your ads already? No. Well, then you're probably not ready for injection. Because I'm going to bring you a deal periodically, but you should be in a position to have your own deals if you're going to be using self-served ad injection.
Right.
And I go back to something that I've said 5,000 times. 90% of podcasts will deliver 90% of their lifetime downloads in the first 72 to 96 hours that they're online globally. And that's still the number.
Mm-hmm.
And here's how you can tell on your chart. And those of you that are watching, your podcast numbers do this. There's a spike. And then it's just like take a hockey stick and then and set it up on its edge and follow it down, and it then turns into a flat line looking like it's dead, and you'll have a little blip 2 or 3, 4, 5 there, 10, 20, 30 there. But that time from when that spike happens to when you level out is going to be different for every show. Sometimes it might be a week or 2 weeks, but the majority of you, within 96 hours, you're done. And those shows don't need ad injection. They don't need to spend the money for ad injection. Bake them in, let that inventory stay there forever. Who cares? No one's listening. No one's listening anyway.
Ad insertion can be expensive. So, unless you're making some good money at doing it.
We charge based on, like for us, you have to be on a pro plan. That's a minimum of $100, $49 for the ad injection, then 10 cents on rebuild. So it's relatively inexpensive for those that have inventory to replace. And in the 10% of shows, don't get me wrong. If you have a show that has great long tail, you need to be monetizing that long tail, because that's just like that's like taking $100 bills and throwing them on the air and let someone else pick them up. It's money left on the table.
And some will put those episodes under a subscription too. So it just depends on what
if the audience is big enough. Yeah.
What your strategy is. But this Red Circle platform appears to be hosting too, and I don't believe that they're IAB certified. So if they're selling host read ads, I'm not sure how that's working out if they're not certified with the buyers, because all the buyers want certified numbers now.
And the majority, we got to. You say, Daniel J. Lewis, are you listening? Why don't you make a list? Who is certified and who isn't?
Well, it's public.
Well, I know, but there's 25 other hosting companies. There's so many hosting companies that I have someone in the company that has a spreadsheet. But there's but some of them are here today, gone tomorrow too. We keep drawing red lines through companies. So
I think
you don't even hear about them dying; they just die.
Be careful here, because if you host over there and their numbers are inflated, you could get into a situation where you're not doing the right thing for the advertisers and get yourself in a little bit of hot water. So
When the most awkward calls are as my phone rings, Todd. Hey, this is over at so and so. Hey, how you doing? Nice to hear. How you guys been? Well, we got a problem. Really? What's going on? We had a show. Yeah, they billed us for 350,000 downloads, and we got 3 conversions.
Right.
That can mean didn't do
what's
too
going
good.
on here?
He says, yeah, based on everything we see, we don't think the numbers are right.
Yeah.
Can you do an audit for us? Who are they hosting with? And
that should be the question. Who they hosting with?
And then sometimes I say, oh, their numbers are good. Just call them. Or,
not good.
And usually when I say, ooh, and I'll tell them, I'll say, well, that conversation's not going to be good. They're not going to cooperate. They're not going to let us come in and audit. Well, what do you mean? I said, well, you can try, but they're not going to let us audit. Because we've had some people say no. They, flip the middle finger at us and say no, or you're not going to audit. And so I tell the media buyer, hey, good luck. You take care of them. You go deal with them. It's not my problem anymore.
Right.
It's really awkward. Rob, you have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Get the hosting company on the phone and like, hey, we've been asked to audit this person's number. I need their raw log data. We have a data sharing agreement and everything we can send over with you. What? You what?
Uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable is not the... But the IB certification is
right.
There's no I would not even fathom someone calling me and say, hey, we need you to audit Libsyn's numbers. I'm just going to laugh on the phone. I'm like, they're good. You call Rob. You shouldn't be calling me.
Right.
Because I understand either. Because guess what? We went through the 6 months of anal probing to get certified. So we know everyone else has went through that same process. And I have no doubt that their numbers are fine.
Yeah.
Why would that's stupidity on my part to even think differently. There's going to be variables of percentages of delta, but it's not going to be like they reported 800,000 and we measure 300. It's not going to be that. It could be 800,000 and we could come up with 780 or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But the delta is not going to be that big.
So Todd, have you been following the questions that James Cridland's been raising about the Amazon terms of service?
I have no comment.
Okay. Fair enough.
What do you think, Rob?
Well, I guess the market is analyzing what they're doing and calling them out, and things are getting better. We'll just put it that way.
Podcasters don't read terms of service.
I know, but some people do. And that's what's happening. There's a whole page on James Cridland's Pod News.
I read it.
It's all about terms of service, right?
I read it, and some of that was interesting.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah. But that terms of service as it applies to podcast hosts, he was kind of mixing things there a little bit on that page because he had Amazon Music and Audible terms of service listed with hosting platform.
It is Amazon Music Audible. Just remember.
Yeah. Well,
from their, you're a podcaster, you're on Amazon Music /Audible.
Well, you're not there yet.
Well, whenever that happens.
You're in their database.
Right.
If you submit to them, but you're not, it's not public. Not listenable quite yet.
But how do I say it? We're moving forward with our digital integration.
Yes.
With multiple players.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the international, in Rob is right. The international stuff is more growing than we're still getting more international stuff coming in than everything in U.S. base is pretty much, close to done.
Yeah, I would say so too. Yeah.
In the agile scrum, we're almost done in the United States.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's.
It is interesting though. Deezer, you talked about Deezer. It is interesting that Deezer is, all in at this point again.
Considering they bailed because they used to own Stitcher.
Right.
That's connected to Deezer. Deezer is a Paris-based hosting platform. Listening platform. If you're not familiar with them, that mainly focuses on music, but they're heavily involved in the podcasting space now.
Yep.
Again.
Yep. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But it's all about content distribution now. More and more places to be heard, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's true.
But,
so I did see. There was a ranking that was released by Media Monitors. I don't know if you saw this, Todd. From June 15th to June 26th, it was a ranking chart of podcasts. And if you looked at the PodTrack ranking chart of top podcasts, like the top 20 podcasts or whatever, and this is the top 25 podcasts, the number one difference on those lists, quite literally the number one difference, is that in the PodTrack ranking, they show The Daily from the New York Times as the number one podcast. In this Media Monitors list, they show the Joe Rogan Experience as the number one podcast.
And I've got about 5 shows, maybe 10, that have never seen the light of day on any of these rankers, and I'm blown away that it's like these little silent giant shows.
Yeah.
Doing 2.5, 3, 5 million listens per episode.
Right.
They're very quietly self-monetizing and probably rolling up the bank, and people have no frickin' clue.
Yeah, that's true. And there are shows that are outside of the U.S. too. That just don't even show up in any of these.
No.
So.
And the Brazil shows continue to rock it, obviously.
Right.
But those are shows that are doing 20 ads in their podcast too.
Yeah.
But they're also live for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think the Hispanic market's coming on too. The Spanish market is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where we're going to see a lot of the growth over the next year or two. They're finally kind of getting it figured out.
Well, I think they're the second largest minority group in the United States, right?
Well, it's I don't know from languages. I don't look at it I look at it more of a language. How many countries speak Spanish? It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably second to English, or maybe it's first.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. What is the ranking of languages? Probably.
I think Spanish is number 2 behind. I don't know. That's a good question for Wikipedia, I think.
Yeah, I just did a Google.
Top languages.
Well, it's kind of funny. Mandarin's the biggest by population. Spanish is supposedly second. English is third. Hindi is fourth.
Okay, I'm showing in Google. It's saying Mandarin, Chinese, English, Hindu, and Spanish, just based on how many speakers there are.
Oh, I'm just looking at Wikipedia. So who knows how? This is from Entholog.
Most spoken language in the world is the ranking chart that I'm looking at.
Yeah. So still Mandarin Chinese is number uno.
Right.
Spanish is dos. In my list, English is tres. I do know just poquito.
Very small.
Actually, I'm trying to learn more Spanish because we're getting a lot more Spanish business. So I'm trying to learn a little more Spanish.
That's good.
Yeah.
It says, what are the top 10 languages? English. Says
From adopted.
English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Total number of speakers here.
because you have a lot of countries that, people in a lot of
Or
countries
dual
and yeah, dual
language,
language. Unlike most of us here in the United States are idiots and we only speak English.
Yeah. So Chinese and English are like very close. So, and then the Hindu language and Spanish.
Oh, that reminds me. Did you know that Rick triggered me here? Thanks, Rick. We are no longer streaming on Twitch.
Really?
It's now, help me out here. I think it's Amazon Gaming, I think is what it is. Twitch has got a new name.
Well, I know that Amazon has a live playback platform. So
Who?
is that what you?
Oh yeah, because Amazon owns it.
Okay. Amazon owns.
Oh, it's called Prime Gaming now. Amazon renames Twitch
Oh.
Prime to Prime Gaming. So it's
Okay.
I wonder
so Amazon owns Twitch now. And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just rebranded it.
Yeah, to Prime Gaming.
So are we on Amazon Live now?
I think we're on Prime Gaming now instead of Twitch. But we are, whatever was Twitch, we're on that platform. It's whatever's been renamed, which I think is Prime Gaming. So, yeah. So I just wonder how much pushback people are going to have. See, I'm loading it here right now, and let me.
Yeah, I'm trying to find us.
Oh, it's telling me to link the Twitch. It's under Geek News Central. See if I can bring this screen up. And actually, I may have to link the account. It may not be already linked. It says, "Hello, Todd. Link Twitch account." It's already telling me to do that. So let me go here. Okay, this is going to be. I got to make sure I know which Amazon account I'm in before I click that button. But
okay, I just typed into Amazon to pull up new media show, and it doesn't look like there's anything in there.
So hang on, I'll find it for us here.
Let's see, Geek News.
Oh boy, we're gonna get a copyright violation. I got to get off this page. Oh, here we are. Oh, wait a minute. Let me find this is an old show. Oh, we're live. Here we are.
Oh, is that in the Twitch app? Or
So,
the former Twitch app?
yeah, I don't know why it's, yeah, okay. I'm doing screen right now, so it'll pop up in a second. But yeah, I found it here. So my user account's called Geek News. That's probably why you couldn't find it. And is anybody watching? Oh. Yeah, actually, I think we did have a pretty good number. I think, well, maybe that's just 44 comments. But yeah, we're up there.
So is the Amazon Live content area, is that under Amazon.com Live or something like that?
No, it's Amazon Prime Gaming.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. And actually, it looks like they want me to link the account. It's giving me all kinds of pop-ups to do so I probably have to do that at some. But I just thought that Twitch would have a major, and again, I know most of you don't stream on Twitch, but I think what we could see is people are pretty loyal to brand names, so we'll see what happens with the Prime Gaming being the new name.
Well, Todd, if you go to Amazon.com/live, you can see that they are doing live shows on this platform. So if you go type in Amazon.com and then /live.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think this is an easy thing to get on, because this is about clothes selling. It looks like it's all about their, well.
It says here, there's a link here. Are you interested in live streaming? So
I'll
let's see,
have
it says live stream on Amazon. Download the app.
I have to look at it.
But it does look like it is a little bit geared more towards people that are offering shopping
Yeah, I think
topics.
so. The one we haven't broke the seal on yet is LinkedIn. I've been trying to get on LinkedIn Live, and we're not over there yet. So
yeah, I think that would be probably even better.
Yeah.
Be over there. I spend a lot of time over on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Robert, my go-to podcast news, not necessarily in this order. Good save. The Feed, the New Media Show, Podcasters Roundtable, Podcast News, Podcast Business Journal. So, well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, we made it 90 minutes.
We did, Todd, as usual. For how many episodes are we up to now?
Oh, we're fast approaching the new official number of 400, but we are at today is 392.
Okay.
So in about let's see here, let me hit the right number here, wrong button. About another month we'll be at 400, so we can have a big 400 celebration.
Yes.
So don't forget, you can get a sticker from us. All you got to do is send us a sticker. The address is on the website at newmediashow.com. Matter of fact, right there in the right-hand column, make it real easy. If you're not subscribed already, please do so. Those of you that are subscribed, thank you so much for being subscribed. We've got a comment about our show, comment about our commentary today. Todd at blueberry.com, Rob.
Rob, let me start over. My email is robg@libsyn.com, and I can be found on Twitter at Rob Greenlee. And so send me an email. Let me know what's going on.
Your email addresses have finally shrunk.
They have?
Yeah, because you don't have 82 emails from all your previous work experience anymore.
That's true. A lot of those, actually, I still get people writing me about my old companies that I work with.
At your new company.
Yep. I mean, people reaching out over other platforms. Like LinkedIn and other ones reaching out to talk to me about Spreaker or talk to me about Podcast One.
You know what that is?
What
I call that? A sales opportunity. Hey, by the way, have I got a deal for you?
That's right.
And I do that all the time.
You're looking at this over here, but you should be looking at this over here.
That's right. All right, everyone. We've hope you've had fun with us today. We've been a little serious in the beginning and hopefully lighten it up here a little bit at the end. But we'll be back with you Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern. 3
and
Eastern.
I haven't booked any guests or anything like that, so I don't know if we want to try and get anybody. But
who should we have on? Who haven't we had on in a while?
Maybe I could ask Rob Walsh on.
Yeah, that'd be great. Have Rob on. He's always entertaining for an hour and a half. We can really, really do some Libsyn bashing. No, I'm just kidding. He always has some cool.
You're going to get teamed up on.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm good. I know where all the dead bodies are buried. So so that's why you can't team too much. Or the opposite is true too. It'd be good because I'm sure he has some opinions on some of the stuff that's been going on. It's always good to get Rob's perspective.
Yes, Rob can be a little spicy, so it always makes for a good episode.
All right, everybody. Thanks. Have a great week, and we'll see you back here in the New Media Show on Wednesday, maybe with Rob Walsh. I don't know. We'll see if see if
he's available.
See if he's available. Just look at his calendar and book him. It's easy.
Right.
That's what they do with me.
Right.
My team members, you got to open 2:00. I'm putting you in slicing you in here. So that's what kept happening here. I kept forgetting to block out my New Media Show time, and people were booking my Wednesday show time. I actually had to move some people around this week, so now I've got a reoccurring calendar event, so they won't overbook.
So Todd, do you think I should try and get Connell from iHeartRadio on the show at some point?
Sure.
I can,
Why not?
I can't ask him. Sure.
Why not? Yeah, why not? Should be fun.
Hey, just look at that top 10 list,
Yeah.
and I can just invite all those people on the program.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
If we don't get out of, if we would probably both be put on the 10 most wanted list
Banned-
to be
banned show list?
to be
Is that what it would be?
excommunicated. No, it's always fun to talk to folks. All right, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for being here. I don't think I've got a logo to switch to, so you're going to see me do the dance to get the. Actually, there is a logo. Let me see if I can find it. I didn't have it prepped. We'll just. Can I use that one? Nope. Because I normally throw the New Media Show logo up. Oh, there we go. There it is. Okay, found it. All right, buddy. Take care. We'll see you next time here. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye, everybody.